Hello, and welcome back to the Lost Archives. My name's Owen, and we are playing Disco Elysium, a incredible RPG that I love so much. Probably one of my favorite games of all time, let alone one of my favorite RPGs of all time. Loosely, as a quick introduction, we are going to be playing as a detective with amnesia trying to solve a murder. I'm not going to give away any more than that because this story is one that is best experienced, and I hope you enjoy the playthrough today and over the next couple of days. I do very much strongly recommend to buy this game, to play it, to enjoy it, and get really creative with it, because this is a game that rewards creativity and encourages you to try new things and work outside the box. Now, we're going to start a new game. I've played this through a couple of times in a couple of different ways. I'm going to focus on a specific playthrough today, which we'll go through in a moment. But for your first time playing, you can select archetypes, which are kind of a little bit like classes if you were to play like a D&D or another like Pathfinder, another RPG system. Thinker, sensitive, and physical. And each of these is essentially like a standard loadout for the 4 different stats that Disco Elysium uses. Intellect, psyche, physical, and motorics, which are kind of like intelligence, wisdom, strength, and dexterity if you were to use D&D or Pathfinder stats for this. I really love the way these work out, and the way that the stats work is that you have skills underneath them, which also get specific pluses and minuses, and the way you kind of build each of these skills and the specific skills underneath really customizes your character in ways that are incredibly deep. Now, if you're playing this game for the very first time, I thoroughly recommend playing as the sensitive for the very first playthrough. It is a lot of fun. Today, though, we're going to create our own custom playstyle. So what we're going to do, we are going to focus on psyche, and we're going to focus on motorics and intellect. I'm going to try to get sort of a balance between these. I'm going to completely ignore physique. I am going to be absolutely terrible at strength. If I'm ever having to use my strength or my body, not good. We are going to lose that immediately. But motorics hopefully should be pretty average. I'm going to bump up psyche to the top because I really like having a high psyche stat. And then we've got average intellect and motorics. So we're ready to begin. Let us jump into the game without any further ado. Oh, before we forget, we should actually select our signature stat. I almost forgot. So these are all the different skills which fall underneath each of the main stats. And these are fragments of our own psyche, is the best way to kind of describe this. Each of these is almost like a fragment of our mind, given form and given a voice, personified to speak to us, to notice things about the world, and to have their own goals and their own weaknesses as well. So these skills, they all have their own goals in mind, and not all of them are in line with our own. So as we power up certain skills, we get certain different other things happen. In this instance, I'm actually going to make Volition or Inland Empire. I might go Inland Empire. Inland Empire is our imagination. It's the signature skill for the Psyche playthrough. I do recommend it. It's a really, really good one to have as your signature, but I think I'm going to go Volition. Volition is kind of like your self, your sense of self. I would say Volition is kind of like your identity, trying to maintain itself. So we're going to do Volition as our signature. Give him number 6 and open him up to really level up high. So let's jump in. The Furies are at home in the mirror. It is their address. Even the clearest water, if deep enough, can drown.
There is nothing, only warm primordial blackness. Your conscious ferments in it, no larger than a single grain of malt. You don't have to do anything anymore. Ever. Never, ever.
So, welcome to Disco Elysium, one of the most creative starts to a game I have ever seen. Our ancient reptilian brain, basically the brainstem, is now talking to us as if it is a personified creature, and we can respond to it. Never, ever, ever.
Never, ever, ever, baby.
In that case, we will simply keep on non-existing.
An inordinate amount of time passes. It is utterly void of struggle. No ex-wives are contained within it.
Give me some more.
You got it, sweet brother. Nothing upon nothing upon nothing.
Whoa, how about you cough up some more of that sweet oblivion?
Coming right up, sir. Smooth passage.
Whoa, LOZ, let's go.
All right. Nothing down to fuck all, borough.
Whoa, return trip to the silence, please.
Do you want me to upgrade that to a one-way trip, sir?
What? Wait, no, I think I need to belittle myself instead.
Do you really?
I do. Let me off.
You wouldn't like it if I told you what was back there. Why'd you think you had to bludgeon yourself into oblivion? Or did you not sense yourself marinating? Poured so much on yourself, got a bit carried away, did we, Chef?
Now our limbic system has chimed in.
Fear and apprehension. You should ask what's out there first.
So our first skill has jumped in. Imagination. Inland Empire, in this case, has jumped in to let us know. And this was an easy roll. We only needed to get an 8. We got an 11. So it's rolling 2d6 and adding the bonus, which in our case I think is +5. Wait, I did this to myself.
Yes, your one disco mother.
Tell me what's waiting for me.
There's this giant ball there. And evil apes. And the evil apes are juking it out on the ball. You're one of them. It's basically all just evil apes juking it out on a giant ball.
And I feel like that really sums up nihilism quite perfectly. How big's the ball?
You can't even make out it's a ball when you're joking it out. It's that large.
And how small are the apes?
Infinitesimally small.
And this duking it out I keep hearing about, what is that?
Vying for resources. It's just a stupid expression you picked up somewhere. The part of the presentation you want to take home with you is this. You have to beat the other evil apes in the face, or you lose.
That's kind of sad.
Yes, it is. And you drowned in that sadness a long time ago.
What do you mean drowned?
You lost.
Time to open our eyes. And this is us. Passed out in a trashed hotel room. Basically naked. Now, one of the really cool things I love about Disco Elysium is that you have a character portrait which shows you artwork of all the people that you're talking to, but for ourselves, we don't know what we look like at this point. We can have a bit of a look around the room. We can move around by left mouse button, WASD, classic combos. In this case, though, I think we should probably put some pants on. And because we've put some pants on and we have a reasonably good intelligence, Motrix, perception has just
You hear a
timed
jingle.
up.
Keys are clinking in the pocket of your flare-cut pants.
Let's fish them out.
It says, whirling in rags, on the aluminium keyring. There is a single key on the ring. The number 1 is etched on it. It should open the door.
So our perception has noticed something's chimed in with hearing and now with sight. So perception's obviously going to be telling you what you see in the world around you, what things look like, how things are. So perception in this case has just chimed in with some interesting stuff for us. We'll chuck on this disco-ass blazer. Very nice. I can see a tie swinging around on the fan, so let's try and get the tie.
This fan has 2 chain pull switches. One ends in a tiny fan, the other in a light bulb. A truly horrific necktie has somehow attached itself to one of the blades. Or has it been consigned there as punishment? You feel as though this creature is your friend and wants to reattach itself to your neck so that you may continue your adventures together in this strange world.
Well, so we can try and grab the tie using our savoir-faire, or our sense of cool, our sense of style and what is right. But in this case, we're going to pull on the fan first, see if we can turn it off.
The blades come squeaking to a halt. It should be easier to reach the tie now.
Great. Now it's at 83%. Let's get the tie.
You swoop up and catch the tie. Snap. It's released from the blade. Warning, warning. The necktie is no longer contained. What you have in your hand is a fantastically colourful tie with 4 or 5 different patterns. The knot reminds you of a noose.
We'll leave for the moment. I don't think there's anything else for us there. Let's have a bit of a look in here. See if we can stumble through the bathroom. I can see we've got a shirt hanging up. Let's at least get partially dressed. And then when you're exploring the world, you can hold down tab to highlight things that are interesting. In this case, we're going to click on this green box. You see bottles in the bathtub. Wine, beer, sweet liqueur. So let's click on this mirror.
A mirror hangs above a bent and broken sink. In a fierce discharge of masculine energy, someone has ripped half the faucet off. Hot water sprays from the base, and steam covers the mirror. You cannot see yourself, just the outline of a man. Suddenly, you realize you have no memory of the face that awaits you there, underneath the soft vapor.
Really? Nothing?
Really? All recollection of the person you are, the people in your life, and even the world you're in has drowned in a sea of blood alcohol. This was no mere night of drinking. It was a deluge of world-ending proportions.
Oh, well, we probably should try and see our face to see if we can figure out who we are. Let's wipe the mirror.
As you slowly reach your hand towards the surface of the mirror. Abort. You clearly have not thought this through. You won't like what you see there, and you will never unbecome it.
Right, so imagination, Inland Empire, doesn't want us to see what we look like, which kind of makes sense, right? Because the less we see about the world, the more there is for imagination to take over. So we're going to listen to Inland Empire. Maybe I should touch it first, make sure there's nothing wrong with my face.
Yeah, there is definitely something wrong with it.
What's wrong?
Where to even begin? There is the bloatedness, then the swollenness. It's like there's an upholstery of alcohol underneath your skin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to touch my nose.
Bet you are. Your nose feels like a small balloon in the middle of your face. It hurts when you honk it. It doesn't appear to be a particularly tiny nose either. Not with all the drinks it's absorbed for you.
Well, at least my tongue is okay?
It's not. It's swollen and snail-like, wriggling between your fingers.
I'm scared. I think I want to stop doing this.
Don't be scared. It's only your face. It's not like anyone's going to see it.
We better wipe the mirror.
Behold.
Oh, hello.
You have no idea who this thing is, do you?
Of course I do. It's some kind of superstar. I think I'm a superstar.
It appears you're also dead. There's clearly rigor mortis on your face. Oh wait, is that an expression? Are you trying to make an expression with that face?
Why? I think it might be because I'm a superstar.
Please stop. It's horrible. You're scaring yourself. You couldn't stop if you wanted to. It's neurological.
Oh dear. So Volition has jumped in to let us know we actually can't even stop this. It's locked in. We should try to stop. Okay, try to stop.
Oh my God. You can't stop. It's like it's not even voluntary anymore. You have worn that grin into your face and now it won't come off. What does it even mean? What is the emotion you're trying to convey?
So this is where we've got lots of options. Superstardom. It's indescribable. I think it's supposed to look suggestive. I'm afraid it's meant for the ladies. I'm insinuating that I'm vaguely sympathetic, pulling it off in a sad, has-been kind of way. We'll try and be honest with ourselves. I'm insinuating that I'm vaguely sympathetic. I think I'm pulling it off too in a sad, has-been kind of way. There's some charm to it.
There might have been 10 years ago. It's little more than a cadaverous spasm now.
Well, in that case, let's see if we can figure out where the expression has come from. So this is an encyclopedia check that's going to use our intellect, and it's a pretty hard check. Formidable. Let's go.
It belongs in the new,
Fantastic.
the third decade of the current century. Enough time had passed from the failure of the revolution that, for a fleeting moment, free market economy seemed like the ultimate, uncontested way of life for our species. Things were good. It was smooth sailing. People made gold and champagne-tinted interiors and facades to suit the times, calling this the new style. But more importantly, disco happened. For Revachol, your city, that meant only one thing. Guillaume Lamillion.
Oh, Guillaume Lamillion.
Out of the dazzling swirl of disco music, in an open-air boîte de nuit, somewhere in Revachol West, Guillaume's blonde mane appeared on the screen. He sang some bullshit. Then he made the expression.
So I adopted it. Why?
Everyone loved it. Maybe you thought some of the stardust would rub off on you. Maybe it did. Either way, it's all gone now. Only the grimace remains.
I feel the need to add a clicking sound when I make it.
The click is used to spur on a horse. It also features heavily in Guillaume Lamillion's regional mega hit, Don't Worry, Your Pretty Little Head.
Anything else, like who I am, why I drank myself into oblivion?
You have some understanding of the recent history of disco. The rest is darkness.
Now we could ask how long ago was the... Yeah, let's go. How long ago was the new?
Some 20-odd years. There is a vast ocean of time between right now and the expression. Looking good on you, or anyone. Humanity has run aground in that time. It's a different world now. The expression is a relic.
Oh, I guess that's it then.
It doesn't have to be.
Oh,
You can swoon over Guillaume and his champagne-corked smile whenever you want to. Maybe some of the stardust will return.
good to know. We've gained a thought. We'll talk about thoughts in a minute, but we can have a go at trying to stop the expression. However, it's a impossible check, which basically means we'd need to roll 2 6s. It's a white check, so we can retry it. Let's give it a go.
It's too late. Like an image on film. The expression belongs to your primary motor cortex. It would take a minor neurological miracle for you to cease producing it.
Fair enough. Let's back away from the mirror. So we now know a little bit about ourselves in a way, a little bit, I guess, a little bit about our expression. We know what we look like. We still don't know our name or anything else. Now, we could click on all of these green bubbles here, but we're actually going to leave them for the moment for one reason, and I'll get back to that later. But we will take this empty cassette tape, and we'll also pick up our shoe, but we're going to leave these ones for the moment. Take that. Now I'll just do one more sweep of the room, make sure we've not missed anything. If we hold down tab, you can see some broken glass here, so let's go investigate that.
The window stands broken in its frame. Cold wind blows in.
Let's look out first.
The morning light hurts your eyes. It's hazy, but you see the ocean and some war-torn buildings.
Well, let's use our visual calculus. Let's assess the damage. Again, we're pretty good at visual calculus. This should be pretty easy.
The shards face outward. Whatever broke this window came from the inside.
Did I break it with my own hands?
A fine web of scarring covers the back of your right hand, but none of it is recent.
What did this then?
More likely a projectile than a held object. There are no fragments on the floor from pulling a tool back in after impact.
Wait, what am I doing?
Something you've done before.
I'll assess the size of the impact.
It is too large for a bullet, yet too small for a piece of furniture. You're looking for something heavy and larger than your fist. The single green shoe you found fits the hole almost as well as your foot. It would have also been heavy enough if thrown with force. Congratulations. You smashed the window with your own shoe. Now you only have one. If you're lucky, you could still find the other one on the balcony outside. The door to it should be outside your room.
Maybe it wasn't me.
You mean someone else took your shoe off and smashed the window with it?
Okay, probably not. I should go get that shoe.
A cool wind gushes in. Your toes curl up from the cold.
Right, well, let's go get our shoe. First mission, find shoe. Alrighty. Now the good news is we now walk normally and quickly, and if we hit caps lock, we now do a little bit of a jog as we run around, which I find very, very helpful for getting places quickly. Looks like there's some money. There's something on the table. Some coins here. We'll take some coins. Absolutely. And then let's head out, see if we can get to that balcony, which looks like it curves around this way. The smell of the sea makes you dizzy. And there's our shoe. Item gained, and we've also got a new perception as well.
There they both are. Two identical shoes, both copiously green and indiscriminately snakeskin, reunited on your feet.
So composure has now jumped in, which is kind of like our sense of style.
Like two baby crocodiles.
How do they fit?
Good, they're balanced, comfy. Feels like the only good thing about you right now, truth be told.
Yikes. Alrighty, well, let's head out. So, morale and health. Health, we only have 1 health, which means if we take any damage, we instantly die. We're going to be fixing that pretty soon. And morale, we've got loads because that's our volition, is what gives us morale. But what gives us health is our endurance, because it is only on 1. That's going to be the very first thing we level up in this game. We're going to be doing that ASAP. For the moment, though, let's head around this way. Calendar here. We will click on this one.
Hello, officer.
The calendar says it's March. The year is 51. This lady here, we could talk to her. So let's have a chat to this lady who said, hello, officer.
The young woman raises a cigarette to her lips. Her eyes are brown and her face is speckled with birthmarks. She can't be more than 28.
Officer, am I a military personnel?
No.
She seems perplexed by your question.
There's only one solution to this. You're a businessman.
So authority has now chimed in. Let's trust authority. Let's see what authority's got to say. Wait, I know, I'm a businessman, chief executive officer, right?
The young woman shakes her head slowly.
Oh.
Officer could be an artistic statement. You're already prone to those.
Officer's my stage name, right? I can see myself as a middling disco artist called The Officer.
No. You're a police officer, sir.
So we could say, are you sure you're shitting me? Or goddamn right, I'm a policeman, and don't you forget it. Let's go that, because, I mean, she seems sure. Let's trust her. Goddamn right, I'm a policeman, and don't you forget it.
Okay, cool. I won't.
She means it. She wouldn't defy authority, however sweaty and bloated it may look.
Good. Now, how did you know I was a police officer?
First, I have to ask, are you okay, sir? You look like you're about to throw up. Can I bring you something?
She's right. Something wants to come out through your mouth, right in front of her, right here. It makes you put your hand on your stomach and swallow.
I'm fine. Answer the question.
Sir, you've been here for 3 days. On official police business, no less.
What kind of business?
Couldn't say. In truth, so far, mostly drinking.
So we could reveal to her that we've got amnesia, which I don't think is a good idea. I don't think we should be just telling anyone that. Why would anyone let me be an officer of the law? Probably not a good thing to say either, given that we have no idea who this woman is. Clearly not someone close to us. We could try the suggestion, try the expression on her. Let her know you want her physically. We get a +1 for that because goddamn right I'm a policeman. We've only got 1 go at this. It's an even chance. We could give this a shot. Let's give it a go.
Try the expression. Come on, why are you still doing this?
I'm at death's door, bloated, a goner, and still. Does the longing ever stop?
Alcohol raises testosterone levels, especially in men. The levels remain elevated after inebriation ends and the pain begins. You seek comfort. It's only natural.
She puts out her cigarette. Something stirs in you as she's about to go. Call it an instinct, a need. The need to ask questions. It's like you said the words 1,000,000 times before. She looks back at you, a light glinting off her eyes.
So reaction speed has jumped in. We're going to trust reaction speed. But before you go, I have some questions for you.
Yes?
Your room is almost next to mine. Did you hear anything last night? What is this place? Where am I? Tell me, is it 51? No, we don't want to reveal that we don't know the year or where we are. Let's go questions about last night. Your room's almost next to mine. Did you hear anything last night?
There was the usual ruckus. Loud disco music.
Did I have any visitors?
I couldn't say. It's impossible to hear people speaking from over here.
Loud disco music?
Oh, yes. Various artists. Ostentatious orchestration prime among them.
She raises an eyebrow, waiting for the name to connect with you.
Oh, were huge where I come from. I was very young then, of course. Like 7. Life gets hard, but we go on.
Yeah, we go on all right. Or it mostly just gets hard, doesn't it? Yeah, she's sort of being a bit honest with us. Let's be a bit honest with it. Yeah, mostly just gets hard though, doesn't it?
It would appear so. At around 2 o'clock, the disco stopped and there was a change of pace.
What happened?
A slow, sad song started playing, like organ music on repeat. That went on for quite a while. Some of the time, you were yelling along to it.
Oh, was I singing this? Show her the empty case of the smallest church in Sancerre.
Yes, there was a church in there. A really small church. Like the smallest, saddest church in the whole world. It was about that. And also...
What else?
That it doesn't matter anymore and that we're alone now. It was difficult to tell. The song itself was very quiet and soft, but you sounded like a winded boar, sir. It was hard to understand what you were singing on top of it.
Yikes. I'm not going to apologize, because I don't remember doing it, therefore it didn't happen. When you say wounded, do you mean that in a cool way, like a wild beast? Yeah, go on.
Yes. It was very cool.
Then what happened?
Then you started screaming and trashed the place.
Sure I wasn't being assaulted?
No, it didn't sound like there was a fight. It sounded like someone was trashing their room. A window was smashed. The tape player, probably. The song stopped. And furniture, too. A real destructathon. There was screaming. Then I think you passed out.
Prides me to hear this. Tell me there was more.
There was. I think you screamed that you didn't want to be this type of animal anymore. I may have misheard, but it was sort of memorable. I went out afterwards. Everything was quiet by then, around 4 or 5. And that was it.
Okay, you can go now. We're not going to ask her what the year is or where we are. That's a terrible thing to just share with people that we don't know that stuff. We want to kind of keep that on the down low. All right, you can go now.
Glad to have been of assistance.
Nice, okay. I think that was good. We got some information from her. We didn't give away too much information. That's perfect. So yeah, I'm going to continue to leave most of these green bubbles. I'll tell you why in a minute. It's important we want to leave them. So normally I would say explore everything. I mean, if you've been with the Lost Archives before, you've seen that I really love to explore freely and with abandon. Often if I see a quest marker in one direction, I tend to turn 180 degrees and go the other way. In this game though, it is worth leaving these just for the moment. I promise. So as you come in, it looked like the camera was focusing on this man down here, but come talk to him in a second, because the game's trying to tell us to go somewhere. I don't like to be told where to go. Let's go talk to this man here, who's got a bird.
A man in his late 20s stands behind the counter, inspecting a stuffed seabird. As you approach, he gives you a sideways glance, then looks down again. That was disdain in his eyes. Even now he is purposely ignoring you. Looks like he's not a fan.
So, empathy's chimed in. He's not a fan of us, but let's see. What's wrong? Don't you like the officer?
Oh no, you're a hero. A real hero cop.
Could the massive property damage upstairs have anything to do with this?
You're being sarcastic.
Am I? Or did you ride in, take the body down, solve the murder, and not trash my hostel room?
I'm guessing I didn't do any of those things. No, I do not appreciate your tone. This is no way to talk to an officer.
Oh, it's not?
He raises his shoulders like he's about to say something more, but then gets a hold of himself.
You're right. It's not.
He has no respect for you personally, but this man sees himself as a law-abiding citizen, and you a representative of that law. He tries to avoid outright conflict.
Let's look at the stuffed bird in that case, because that's pretty freakish.
A competent work of taxidermy. The white and brown seabird lies among piles of coasters and drying mugs. One of its wings broken. The man is trying to mend it. Looks like the bird was ripped off the shield that was used to mount it, most likely on a wall. Something about it makes you feel bitter.
What happened to the bird?
Look, your buddy is over there.
He looks at the doors, where a man in a bomber jacket is tapping his foot on the floor.
Why don't you go and talk to him, okay?
Again with that insubordinate tone.
He pretends not to hear you, concentrating on the bird instead.
Are you the bartender?
No, I'm not the bartender. I'm the cafeteria manager.
What's the difference?
I have 3 cafeterias to manage. 3. Sylvie tends the bar here, not me. I'm only standing in.
Where did this Sylvie go?
She just, you know...
He shrugs.
There's something there, and it's not good. That's all you know for now.
Okay. Alright, we'll leave this guy be. Let's head on over this way and talk to the man in the orange bomber jacket.
A bespectacled man in an orange bomber jacket is tapping his foot on the floor. Looks like he's waiting for someone. You. As you approach, he narrows his eyes and extends his hand in greeting. If an assault were launched on this building right now, if the windows came crashing down and the whole world descended upon you, this man would hurl himself in death's way to save you. You are sure of this, but why?
So this is a skill we haven't heard from yet called Esprit de Corps, and it's kind of like the spirit of the police. It's almost like we're tapping into the knowledge of policing and the zeitgeist of the police world. Interesting. Well, hold on, who is he to me?
He is your half-brother.
Well, then I shake his hand.
Hello, I'm Kim Kitsuragi, Lieutenant, Precinct 57. You must be from the 41st.
You realize he's waiting for your name. This is your chance to come up with a really good name for yourself. Get creative. Conceptualize.
Ooh, okay, let's conceptualize. Let's see if we can come up with... Problem is we're going to get a -1 to that because we're partial to the officer, which means because we've used that as our name before, let's go. Just call me officer.
Very well, officer.
He's slightly confused.
It looks like we had a little scheduling error on Sunday. Saturday too, actually. Have you had time to talk to the manager here?
You mean him? Yeah, I just talked to him.
If you don't mind, we should talk to him again. Ask him for a rundown of the area. Now that I'm here as well. I understand the scene is out back, right? It also wouldn't hurt to assure him the police are finally here.
Hey.
In full force, I mean. Have you mapped out the initial interviews?
Yes, the police. I'm aware I'm a policeman.
Right. And the interviews?
What interviews?
At the 57th, we like to prepare an initial list of persons of interest, and then just skim the surface. Prepare the field, get to know the players. You don't do that? Maybe it's not an inter-district practice.
No, it's not an inter-district practice. No, I haven't.
Okay, we'll have time for that after we take a look at the coroner's case. Have you removed the dead body from the tree?
Only one of these options is going to be honest with Kim. Let's go dead body?
Mm-hmm.
No.
So, the body is still in the tree.
This is the first time you detect a weariness in the lieutenant's voice. It is obvious he would have preferred for the body to no longer be in the tree.
I feel like we owe this Kim Kitsuragi honesty, given that our esprit de corps skill told us that he would dive in front of us and take a bullet for us, and he's our half brother. Not literally, I'm guessing. I think we want to be honest with Kim.
Where it has been hanging for 7 days straight.
Oh, that's not good.
We should go there as soon as we are done talking to the owner.
How can you be so sure I'm from the police?
I was sent here to meet a detective from Precinct 41. You have the insignia of the Citizens Militia on your sleeve and on your back.
He points to your jacket.
I suppose you could be impersonating him. You could have gotten the insignia from the black market or forged it. But for now, I'm going to set those possibilities aside. I'm not from the Inspectorate General.
Inspectorate General?
Internal affairs. And I'm not them. I'm from criminal investigation.
You said insignia, these white rectangles you mean?
Yes,
But they're just white rectangles.
they're not just white rectangles. They bear a halogen watermark with the letters RCM and a pattern resembling the street grid of Revachol West. I would ask you to step into the headlights of my motor carriage, but again, it's none of my concern. I just need you to do your job.
But shouldn't I have a badge or something? Check our pockets.
You mean you don't have a badge?
Oh boy, it was not on me when I woke up, or we can pretend we found it. As I said, we're going to try and be honest with Kim. It was not on me when I woke up.
Losing your identification card is a serious matter. My vehicle has a shortwave. You can use it to report your badge missing. I would advise you to locate it as quickly as possible. But getting the body down should still take precedence.
I can't remember anything.
I can see you drank last night and the night before, and that you are still drunk now. But I have seen officers go through worse. Much worse.
That's concerning.
If you need something for your headache, there is a general store nearby. But as I said, the dead body should be our #1 concern.
Let's roll.
After you, officer.
Lieutenant Kitsuragi is now in.
Great. Welcome to the party, Kim. Right, let's talk to Gart then with Kim here now that the police are here in full force.
The man with the unimpressive beard notices you approaching. He drops the ledger he was holding and turns to the lieutenant.
Mr. Gart, right? You run this place.
Yes.
I am Kim Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. This is an inter-district investigation, so joining me from Precinct 41...
He looks to you, realizing he still doesn't know your name. I'm the Harbinger of Ruin.
What?
The Gloaming. I am it.
I have no idea what that means.
The human experiment will soon be over, cafeteria manager. It doesn't matter if you don't understand. Nah, I've been to the precipice, cafeteria manager. I've seen the end.
What is this, a joke to you? Is this what you get when you call the police now? This guy? We've been waiting for a week here.
Sir, I understand your concern, but we are here to do a job. And for us to do it, I need you to stay calm.
Yes, of course.
For a moment, the cafeteria manager fidgets under the lieutenant's gaze. Then he gives in.
I know it took us a while to arrive at the scene, but it also took you a while to call us. It was you who placed the call, correct?
No, I only just got here. It was probably Sylvie who called you. She usually works the bar here. I'm only temporarily taking over her duties.
Do you have her number?
As a matter of fact, I do.
He looks behind a pile of coasters, finds a slip of paper, and hands it to the lieutenant.
You said you just got here. From where? Are you a local?
What, of Martinez? No, I live in Jamrock. I only sometimes come here to keep an eye on the place. This is just one of the many cafeterias I manage.
But you still know your way around, yes? In case we need directions.
Yes, I know where some things are, but as I said, I don't live here. I just used to work here. And I'm not going to start working here again, if that's what you think.
I didn't imply that. Detective,
Yeah?
I have everything. You?
Oh, you mean do I have questions?
Yes, he means, do you have questions for me, like a police officer would?
Where exactly is the body?
Behind this building, there's a courtyard. They hoisted him up on a tree there.
Them. And they hoisted him up on a tree. How do we get there then?
That's easy. See that door there? First you exit through that. Then to your right, you should see a big hole in the fence. A really big one. You can get to the courtyard through there. No need for the keys. The hole is big enough for the Franco-Nigerian cavalry to fit through.
Making a big deal about this hole.
Does he want you to feel guilty of making that hole?
Uh-oh.
It's implied in his voice.
We made the hole, didn't we? Who killed him?
I don't know who killed him. I'm not the police. That's your job.
Did you kill him? Alright, I have another question.
The lieutenant turns the page in the little notebook he's been scribbling in.
Why did Sylvie go away? See, that's a good question. That might be pertinent. I mean, body gets hung up in the tree and suddenly the person who works here in front of the building vanishes. Like, that's interesting.
She went away because none of your business.
This is the second time you've avoided the subject.
Oh my god, what is your obsession with this Sylvie person? Get over it.
Maybe it's he who's obsessed with this Sylvie person. Certainly sounds like it.
There's more to this. I'm going to try and ask about Sylvie again. That's all.
Let's go.
Not so fast. You owe me 130 real.
Uh-oh.
No one is saying the multi-pattern necktie you found tied to the ceiling fan can talk. No one. It must be merely imagination. But
Let's bail! Time to push the eject button! Sounds like a responsibility! You don't like those!
no, don't listen to him. It's madness. Just talk.
So we can talk to him, or we can try and slip away unnoticed. What's Real? I'm going to listen to Volition.
Oh, excuse me. You owe me 130 real.
The IIR, or Inter-Isolary Real, is the global reserve currency. Whatever part of the world you're in right now, it's safe to assume he means you owe him some money.
Oh, I understand. You mean I owe you money?
Wow, you're a genius. Yes, that's right, money. You owe this establishment 130 real.
Who does that clown think he is? Arrest him!
Did I just hear my Thai speak to me? Twice.
No one is saying that! No one is saying that Ty can talk! That would be ludicrous! It's just that you should arrest him! It would be wiser! He wants to take your money!
Great advice. I'm considering it.
The lieutenant looks at you tugging on your garish tie. He puts his hand on your shoulder.
If you don't have the money, it's okay. None of us are in this for the wages.
That's cop 4. I haven't offered to pay because I don't have any money either.
What do I owe this place for?
Let's see. 3 nights at a tariff of 20 real comes to 60 real. Then there's the window you annihilated. The hole in the window was the first thing I saw when I came to work. So don't try to tell me you didn't. That will be 40 real in damages.
40 Real for a window.
Another thing you've annihilated is half the bar. You've run a tab of 30 real. Actually, more, but we'll round it down to 30 for your hard work maintaining the stability and order of Revachol. That's 60 plus 40 plus 30 equals 130 real. And yes, real is still money.
But what exactly is money?
What are you, a philosopher?
Actually, I might be.
Money is what grown-up people use to pay for things. Things like this hostel room or 8 bottles of potent blend and 9 packs of Royal Extra. We use it for everything, really.
Interesting. Where do I get it from?
Are you serious? From your work? I don't know. You can take bribes, I guess. I'm sorry. I don't think cops can take bribes.
Some do take recompense, but only to survive.
Why do I need it?
For survival, to pay me. Unless you want to become a hobo. Do you want to become a hobo? There's nowhere else to stay in Martinez, and it's a cold spring outside. Money doesn't make you happy, but it lets you be unhappy for a while longer. If you run out of money, you die. It's like that for all of us. Me too. That's why I need you to pay me. I'm not an asshole.
Is this money?
Yes, it is.
Well, that's 10 plus 10 equals 20 equals 40. I'm down to 90, right?
No, you see, that's 40 cents. Cents are a form of currency 100 times smaller than the real. I'm not even going to take this. Come back when you have 130 real.
100 times smaller?
Yes.
That's horrible.
It is.
He stands silently looking at the coppers on the counter.
For a moment, his antipathy is overcome by compassion for the sheer smallness of the money. Isn't it evil? The order of magnitude between what is asked of a person and what they have.
Darkness rides.
It does, doesn't it?
There's a shuffle of nylon as Lieutenant Kitsuragi looks for something in the pockets of his orange bomber.
You're under arrest.
You can't arrest me. I haven't done anything.
Let's see if we can put him under arrest.
From the bottom of your blue soul,
Yes.
a term emerges.
Refusal to aid an officer of the peace. You're impeding me from carrying out a murder investigation with your inane requests for money.
But it's not inane. You owe me money.
It is cruel of you. A man has been killed. File a request for compensation with Station 41. We need to work now.
Okay, you'll only have to pay for the window and the drinks. That's 70. I'll get the rest from your stupid station.
Do you know what? That's actually pretty fair. Goodbye, thank you for your cooperation.
Don't thank me. You still owe me 70. If you don't have it by tonight, I'm not letting you back up there.
That's enough now, sir. Good day.
Oh.
By the way, where is home? The address is coming up blank, and this place sure isn't it.
Do I even have one?
But you've been at this hostel cafeteria for only 3 nights. Where were you before? You had to be somewhere.
I don't know. Near. South, maybe?
You don't really know, do you?
I have only a vague, blackened image.
A vague, blackened image doesn't sound like somewhere you can stay if you run out of money.
Could I trace the way back somehow to the exact street, the exact number on a building?
You can try. Run some addresses in your head when you get the time. Maybe a street or an apartment will appear.
Okay, so I think it's time to talk about thoughts. Thoughts are really interesting. We've currently unlocked 2 thoughts. So at the moment we have space for 3 thoughts in our mind. And as you can see, there's a lot of thoughts. So if we think about Guillaume le Million, we add that to our thoughts, we'd get -1 logic for a bit. But in the future, it might give us access to some new things. We don't know what they're going to be yet, but there would be some new things that it'll give us access to. Lonesome Long Way Home. We do get a +1 to Encyclopedia while we think about this. It could be worth internalizing, but for the moment, we're going to wait a little bit, just because it's very early on in the game. We don't want to be jumping out and putting too many thoughts into our head just yet, so we'll leave that be. Before we have a look at the body first, let's have a talk to this lady here in the wheelchair.
Hello, sweetie.
The elderly woman turns to you with a smile.
Wait, who's Sweetie?
Who's Sweetie?
Why, you are, officer.
Oh, maybe I am.
And have you found anyone to be sweet to?
We don't know, so I'm going to say... I don't know. Maybe I have.
You rascal. I'm too old for you, and too married besides.
Your advances haven't thrown her off one bit.
Ah.
In another place and time, she would have probably welcomed your attention.
Ah.
You must forgive me. I'm getting so scatterbrained. I completely forgot to introduce myself. I'm Lena. My husband Morel and I are staying with our friend Gary just down the street, but I come here for tea when they're away.
Her eyes glitter over the rims of her glasses as she looks up, smiling.
This Lena is wacky enough for the motley crew. Hire her on the spot.
I'm going to listen to Esprit de Corps. How'd you like to roll with me?
Whatever do you mean?
I want you to be my wheelchair partner in fighting crime, ridding backyards of corpses and catching sequence killers.
Sequence killers? Oh my. But I think you already have a partner, sweetie.
A partner who needs you to help him get a corpse down from a tree.
I know, but there are also side mysteries, sequence killers and forays into the paranatural.
I can assure you with absolute certainty, there are no sequence killings taking place in Martinez.
Now, gentlemen, no need to squabble. I wouldn't be of much use to you anyway, sweetie.
Why? 3 heads are better than 2.
Thank you, but Martinez isn't the most wheelchair-accessible place, you see. I'd slow you down. Perhaps another time.
She turns back to you with a hopeful glint in her eyes. Okay, we're not going to ask her about the chair. I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't know anything. I don't know where I am or what I'm doing or anything. Yeah, go on. I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't know where I am or what I'm doing. Or anything.
Yes, officer. You look rather dazed. Like a stunned fox. But surely things can't be that bad.
Her eyes follow your movements with some concern.
She won't judge you, no matter what you say.
Oh, great. Okay, good. I drank so hard I forgot literally everything.
Oh my. You know where we are, right?
The Whirling in Rags cafeteria. It was on me keys.
That's right. And where is the Whirling in Rags cafeteria itself located?
In Revachol?
Yes, indeed. We are in the fine city of Revachol.
All I know is that Revachol used to be really cool in the 30s.
The new disco dancing. It seems like a lifetime ago.
Her eyes are filled with light reflected off those gilded years, when the city seemed so full of possibility.
Much has changed, but it is still the most beautiful city in the world. A rare jewel set in the sand between the pines. Everyone says so, even foreigners. Speaking of history, you know what year it is, yes?
It's the spring of 51.
That's right, dear. How splendid. Here, take this pen. Knowledge should always be rewarded.
Her relief is palpable. She was getting pretty worried about you there.
Okay.
But now she relaxes her shoulders.
I can tell that this is taxing for you, so I'll just ask one more question. What regime are we living under? What mode of government?
A lot of options here. We've got some kind of democracy, dictatorship of the proletariat, leaders of fierce warriors who traverse the plains on steeds, governed by intelligent machines that perform calculations to determine the freest market, radios used to control people's minds and distort our perception of reality, concealing our true masters, foreigners and women. Cop, we are living under the cop regime. The cop, come on, we're living under cop regime.
Actually, we are not. You could say that about almost any other nation, but not Revachol. Try one more time, officer. What mode of government?
Damn it. I was really hoping it would be a cop world.
Me too.
Okay, well, let's see.
I'm pretty sure our leaders are fierce warriors who traverse the plains on steeds. Civilization cowers before us.
Oh, no. Nothing like that, dear. Revachol is a zone of control led by an alliance of foreign powers called the Coalition. We have almost no government of our own, and certainly not one who's horseback.
There's no government. How come there's cops?
Oh, dear. And you were doing so well. There aren't any cops in Revachol, not in the traditional sense. The status of law enforcement has been a complicated matter since the revolution. But we should stop for today, sweetie. You look like you need a break. Besides, I'm not the best person to explain the big things to anyone.
So how'd I do?
You were doing quite well up until the end, dear. It does look like you're having trouble remembering things. History and places. Remembering reality in a word. It's very odd.
A sigh. The lieutenant buries his nose in his notebook.
But maybe a fresh set of eyes is what the world needs. And while I'm no doctor, such bouts of amnesia are often temporary, so I wouldn't worry too much.
That's true.
She means this sincerely. Worrying won't do you any good.
What's the revolution you mentioned?
A defeat, I'm afraid. The people of this archipelago tried to build something new, something different. The rest of the world didn't like it, so they came and ended it. This was 42 years ago.
What does that have to do with there not being any cops?
It has something to do with everything. I really don't know how to explain it better.
I'm just a poor woman, she thinks. What do I know of these things? And how can I help you?
Who could tell me more?
Someone more educated in sweeping matters. Maybe you should ask.
She turns to the lieutenant.
No, I'm not an encyclopedia. I won't be a guide either. I'm a detective.
Of course. Then I don't know. Someone rich, maybe? Wealthy people are educated. Though I don't know where you would find a wealthy person in Martinez.
I've got to go now.
Of course, dear. Good luck with your case.
She gives you a small wave. So, we've got a new task. In this case, it's to get a reality lowdown. Now, I think that is actually probably one of the things we need to get on quicker, sooner rather than later. And luckily, I know where we can do that. So as we head out this way, we want to make our way down along here. We're going to go all the way along. We're going to do all of these things here. And there's one stop we're going to make along the way because we are in a bit of a pickle with money. Now, what you can do, you hear the distant squall of seabirds. What you can do, come down here, grab this this bag, put it in your hand. Let's put it in our left hand. And now, if we inspect bins and things like that, we can take items. we can pick up things and take them with us out into our inventory. But you need the bag to be able to pick up those... you need the bag to be able to pick up the cans that you see around the world. So if we have a bit of a look now, you can now see there's bins that are highlighted, there's cans over there. So we're going to pick up all these because we can take these in and recycle them for money. So that's the first thing we're going to do that's a little bit different to how you would normally play if you're exploring for the first time. Pick up these two. There's loads and loads, and each of these is worth 10 cents. So it adds up pretty quickly as you pick up lots and lots of them. And nice, get a little nice bit of ASMR too as you run along. Now we're going to head all the way down along the dock here. Most of the other things that we'll pass, we'll come back and check out all of these in a minute. We will pick up these bottles and cans though, because they are free money. Just have to move back a bit so I can see this one. Oops, there we go. Pick this up, and we'll come along this way. We're going to ignore all of these, we'll check in here. Take that. Pick up these bottles up here. And we're going to head down to the dock because we were told to seek out a wealthy or educated person. There is a wealthy and educated person just here on the docks that you are directed to talk to as part of the main quest, as part of the investigation a little bit later on. But I do really recommend, if you're playing this for the first time, come along and actually talk to her sooner rather than later. Just because there's a couple of different things that it gives you access to if you do this step a little bit sooner. One of them is one of my favourite thoughts in the whole game called Jamais Vu, which is the opposite of déjà vu. Shadows on the water, green plants under the calm surface. So let's talk to Joyce.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good morning, officers. I'm Joyce.
She extends her hand in greeting.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
She steps closer and holds out her hand over the railing. Joyce L., what does the L stand for?
Leighton, my maiden name.
Her bony hand dangles from the sleeve of her oversized raincoat. RCM? What is that? I'm a little foggy here.
I meant you, the Revachol Citizens Militia, the police.
Oh, what gave us away?
Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
What is implied here? That you're a drunk? She hasn't actually said it to every drunk in town. It was spoken in jest.
I'll shake her hand.
I'm glad to see you here.
Her grip is tight and cold.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. The lieutenant is hatching some scheme.
Ooh.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
You're on a boat.
Why, yes I am.
She looks at the deck under her feet. Green and white sails flutter overhead. Not a lot of people on boats, are there?
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
Wait, we're an archipelago?
Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou.
Still, haven't seen anyone else sail a boat around here.
I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle.
Must be Kim's car. We haven't seen that yet.
It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
She's having a good time arguing against the law. Too good, perhaps.
All right, we need to go back on the defensive. Does she have a name?
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19, because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word
Yeah.
feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name.
Cool, but your boat really needs a name.
Okay. How about Cordelechi 19? Why?
She taps on the side of the boat. It makes a hollow sound.
Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelechi, and its hull is 19 paces long.
How about Dolores?
Why Dolores?
I just like the name, for some reason.
Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you for the suggestion.
Alright, what kind of boat is it?
It's a pleasure craft. A 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business.
I'm guessing Category 1's the best. So how do you like it?
My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
Disco.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Do you have a license for this boat?
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
I might be, though. I think I got a handle on this boat thing.
Good.
Tell me about the Wild Pines. What you do?
What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
So what do they do?
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking?
Airships?
Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
How much money does Wild Pines have?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
A billion?
What exactly is a billion?
It's a number, officer. A big one.
What's it made of?
It's made of 1,000 millions. A million is made of 1,000 thousands.
Wow.
20 billion is a large number, but the conglomerate employs 72,000 people. They all need to be paid. Then there are capital improvements, interest payments.
A wave hits the sloop. She grasps the mainstay for balance.
A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It's a tremendous responsibility.
Where does Wild Pines get all these billions?
They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the Great Unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it.
What does such a huge system want with a place like this?
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners? Who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo?
8% of all cargo in the world. That's quite the endeavour indeed.
There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Perfect. We got exactly what we were looking for. 15th Indo tribe. This is a really good thought to have. Now, for the moment, we can't do anything with it, but we're going to internalize it. Doesn't give us any bonuses, but when we solve this thought, when we complete this thought, we're going to get some really good stuff from it. So let's carry on. I don't really want to know about the strike or the lynching, but we need a lowdown on reality. You seem smart. We'll talk about the strike and the lynching later. We'll come back and talk to her when the main quest directs us here, but I do recommend coming and grabbing, like asking her about Wild Pines and asking her about reality first before you anything else in this game. You seem smart. I need someone to give me a lowdown on this reality we're in.
This Reality?
I got so drunk I literally forgot everything.
What?
Yeah, when a supernatural event took place within my head on alcohol.
Such an acute encephalopathy just doesn't seem possible. Surely you're joking.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
We may be here a while then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
Where are we?
We're in Martinez, baby.
Baby?
A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed.
I'm a disco holdover myself.
Aren't we all?
Where is Martinez?
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
Tell me more about Martinez.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
You mentioned a sea. What sea is this?
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean.
We're near the ocean.
Yes. We're on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water. The Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
What's the name of this island?
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed-over pebble amidst a great blue sea. Misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the River Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her, and to humanity at large.
Okay, that's Martinez. What about Revachol?
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city.
What kind of city is Revachol?
The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
And what makes Revachol great?
History, detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries.
Okay, who built this city?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed.
So as you can see, the world building that's gone into this is just phenomenal. There's a whole world here with a different history to our own, with different rules to our own. If this isn't your sort of thing, I'll put a timestamp in so you can skip ahead, but I love this stuff. When was Revachol built?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
And why will it resolve history?
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
But why here?
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people. In the middle of the Insulindic Ocean. The world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
So we're in an unimportant part of an important place.
I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about...
She points across the water where the skyscrapers rise.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Look to the sea.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time.
Where are we?
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
She watches you closely as you scan the horizon.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
We're going to listen to that advice. We are going to start thinking about jamais vu.
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask, about even more fundamental aspects of reality. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Ma'am, Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
But I want to know everything now.
That is understandable, but perhaps it's better not to eat all your candy at once.
Indeed. I'm always at your service.
In this instance, because we are currently waiting on these two thoughts to manifest and to be completed, I actually do recommend asking these questions. And also it makes sense to have it all in one go. As I said, there'll be a timestamp skipping ahead, so.
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late.
Too late for what?
For the big time.
Her eyes light up. There's a flash of teeth. What's the big time?
The revolution.
What is this revolution I keep hearing about?
It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
Wait a minute, our limbic system told us about this. Would you say it was a bunch of apes duking it out?
Why, of course. We're talking Duke Out Central. Full swing intraspecies warfare.
And the apes, were they evil?
No. I would say the apes were neutral.
She looks at you, her gaze sharp. Okay, neutral.
On the other hand...
She turns north to the bombed-out buildings lining the waterfront, then shivers slightly. Who got shot in the head?
Those would be the communists.
Ah.
Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head.
She's not gloating. It's a relieved celebration.
Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
Did the communists and the anarchists shoot back?
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
That's a tragedy.
Yes. The Red Deluge. The Insulindian Deluge, they call it.
Anyone else get shot in the head? Or on the opposing side?
Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew.
Wait.
The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
Cowardly king.
I prefer the term risk-averse. King Guillaume was nobody's fool. He could smell a PR disaster brewing, so he got out alive, and his nephew Fricelle got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time.
It's funny. Now that I know that there were fascists getting shot, I care a lot less. I'm happy for fascists to get shot. Who got the mineral rights?
The liberals got the mineral rights.
Ah.
And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
Okay, and by liberals you mean...
Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well.
How did the liberals win it all?
They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
She's a liberal.
We. She's one of them. Of course.
If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to?
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
Wait, you just said the liberals already took everything.
The Liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The Coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people.
And who are the Coalition?
The Coalition of Nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay. The armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
Moralist?
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
If always picking the option that doesn't commit to anything, then hell yes I am. And also not.
An almost endearingly moralist standpoint. It must be hard to take a moderate approach to head shooting in your line of work.
When was this kerfuffle?
The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question.
40, 50 years ago.
The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved.
And who started it?
It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Marzolf came along and overthrew the government.
What did this Sarath do?
It made people overthrow their governments.
No way.
Indeed. Zarat is a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
Where did it spread from there?
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Marzolf's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
So I feel like we should talk about prions really quickly. So a prion disease is essentially a protein that's misfolded, and its shape allows it to find other proteins of a similar type and fold them to match it. Prions are really weird. They're not viruses, they're not bacteria, but they are an illness. In humans, we have one called Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease, which mad cow disease is what it's known as, and you get that prion from eating tainted meat. Really, to get a prion into your body, you have to kind of ingest it. It can't be airborne. I mean, you could do it through blood transfer, even contact with things, but it has to get into your body in enough of a volume that it can start to find other proteins in your system and interact with them. So the fact that there was a prion disease, and I should say in humans, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease causes mental degradation. It's exactly what it does. So the fact that there was a prion disease that was really fast spreading is interesting, because by their very nature, prions tend to be very slow spreading. So there's something unique about this one. Maybe we'll find out more about it later. What came next?
Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
I've got to say, Zone of Control is a great name for an album.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
Our lives are very different from each other.
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think.
What is the Zone of Control?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations, and you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The Zone of Control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the Suzerain and the Commune.
So Esprit de Corps just chimed in before to give us a bit of an insight on what's going on at Precinct 41 right now. Interesting. We don't know who these people are yet, so maybe we'll find out later. What happened in the rest of the world?
Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication. Telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
So it's been like this for how long?
43 years. Hard to fathom, I know.
What have we been doing all that time?
The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell.
And after that?
The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
Then you happened. Your youth in the 30s.
That's when they discovered disco.
Yes, and quantitative easing. It was a market mirage, unfortunately. The 40s dispelled it. An Isola-wide hangover, you might say. So, here we are.
Market crash. So, speculative market. People putting in money into places they thought were safe when they weren't, and money being moved around.
Welcome to reality, baby.
Gotta level up. Let's apply that skill point right now. I know where we need it. We need it in endurance. We just need at least 1 more health. That'll do for the moment. Alright. Got 2 health. Fantastic.
From the looks of it, the 50s haven't been much better for the zone of control. You can see it in her eyes. Days slipping away.
You don't seem to be thrilled.
I've no right to be dissatisfied. This shirt is Barbara Muscova, this raincoat is impervious to rain and is guaranteed for 100 years. My daughters will wear it. No, it's just...
She looks at the crumbling tenements, paint flecking from the stone.
We could have had so much more. Every one of us. If only we played it right.
What would you have done differently?
Good question. What would you have done differently?
No, her first.
I asked you. Who are you in all this?
And I asked you, past-less detective of the Citizens Militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given to you?
I don't know. I don't know what I would have done differently.
And you would have died, most likely. Not far from here. Maybe even right here, during the beachhead, defending the coast the day the Coalition took the city.
Probably.
No, almost certainly. The Commune would have forced you. Such was the fate of the undecided.
That's enough about the times.
They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer.
I want to know what you are.
She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
I'm going to say nothing.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine.
I don't understand. What's so vile about that?
Haven't you heard? I am a nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. One of those who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. We surrendered the nation to financial colonists. No saint person identifies as an ultra anymore. Not in broad daylight. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her. But only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes.
We're gonna trust electrochemistry on this and suggestion. I forgive you, but only because you're charming.
A devil, who being of great charm and guile, sneaketh into the homes of the godly.
Vile devil.
I hope we are able to continue as friends, despite my scaly bulk, and the treacheries committed by my people against the suzerain and the commune. When the dust settled, the liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed.
Would you have done something differently?
With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery.
That's dark. She's saying that the zone of control that's established by the coalition, they don't want to repair Martinez 100% because in its war-torn state, it's a permanent marker to the rest of the world. Don't fuck with us. This is what we did to this city. This is what we could do to you. I love this game.
I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake.
She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it.
Wow.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
You're a smart woman.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
You're a patriot.
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
Seditious talk, man.
The lieutenant puts down his notes and gives her a look. You have daughters, Joyce?
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
What is acute encephalopathy?
It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
So, excessive alcohol consumption leaches vitamin B from your system.
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective.
If you're at the point where you're losing as much memory as we have in this, it's not good.
In case he goes down later, souring the entire portfolio.
I know you got a lot riding on me. I won't let you down.
It's not just me, Detective. All of Martinez has placed its chips on your success. I pray we've all bet wisely.
What causes encephalopathy?
Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use.
It's definitely the drinking.
She nods slowly.
Yes, and perform autoerotic asphyxiation on yourself with your funny necktie, out in the open somewhere.
No, we're not going to listen to the necktie. What is this? Spread your hands.
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
Am I really that awkward?
Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games.
I meant, what is this place here?
Ah. This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two.
What is Rue de Saint-Ghislain 33A?
A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old.
She looks up at the crumbling facade.
This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course.
Who lived in them?
Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off.
Splat, splat.
From a dilapidated balcony, a young girl in odd clothes gives Joyce the evil eye, a red paintbrush held to her throat.
Wonderful.
Check in on Cindy later. What is that? Point to Cindy the skull.
The girl in the old lady rags?
Yep.
Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture.
Infraculture?
Yes. You and I belong to the supraculture.
Ah.
We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, An infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture.
Okay, now explain the same thing but to a child.
Young people who dye their hair funny colours and wear old people's clothes are stupid, and their little rebellion is self-defeating. All right, what next?
Kind of sums it up. Should we have a go at Esprit de Corps? Let's give it a go. It's a white check, we can retry it. We're pretty good at Esprit de Corps.
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality.
Come back and try that later when our Esprit de Corps is a little bit higher. What is... we're going to reach for something fundamental.
A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop slowly. That's all. The doubt is fully formed in your head. The alien feeling persists. You just can't word the question yet. You have to complete the jamais vu thought first.
Right. We'll come back once we've unlocked jamais vu, which is still a little bit away. That's all for now.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
Yeah, you seem rich. Can I have some money?
Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy, is it?
Why not?
Look at that lady. Take a gander. Squint your eyes, bub.
What lustrous hair?
A well-kempt, yet tastefully short bob of dark hair. Despite the first hints of grey, she's elected to keep it au natural, shaped into a permanent wave. Late 40s style. Positively statuesque, while dull orange pearls hang from her earlobes, red from the cold. Her light green eyes scan you, full of knowledge and worry, wealth and all its possibilities. These are the kind eyes of the rich man that seem to say everything is possible.
Yeah, so...
Now look at you, you misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes. A scythe of booze precedes you. Your hair sticks to your forehead, and your underwear feels uncomfortable. You're poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too...
What is this feeling? I've never felt it before.
Shame? You haven't really been in the presence of gentlefolk either, have you? What shame is there to be felt in front of these dock workers, cops, and hotel clerks, but to belittle yourself in these eyes of Odinil?
Odinil, no odor. Essentially, she doesn't stink like I do.
Oh God, the lieutenant is here too. Do not dishonor the force.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
Can I have some money?
Voila, you're doing it.
Can I have some money, ma'am?
Of course. How much do you need?
She's surprisingly nonchalant about this. Could it be that she somehow knows more about your predicament than she's letting on?
I need 70 real.
That's a reasonable sum. Not too small, not fantastically large.
She reaches into her raincoat and pulls out a zip bag. In it, you see paper notes arranged like black gills.
She removes a few notes and hands them to you. The paper is cold and oily to the touch. Whoa. Did you see how easy that was? Ask her for more. Toot toot, train to Moneytown.
Can I have some more?
This may seem like odd behavior for a police officer, ma'am, but it's a perfectly common side effect of his unusual medical episode.
It's all right, Lieutenant. I really did bring as little cash with me as possible to avoid attention. So here you are. The last bit of filthy lucre I can share. So, I hope I didn't just bribe you, officer. It may not be technically illegal under the Emergency Act, but still.
I'm an honourable policeman. One of the few good men in Revachol.
You're right, ma'am, that donations are permitted under the Emergency Act, unseemly as it may be, as long as they're properly logged with the precinct.
Which he most certainly will do. Now, how else can I help the RCM today, besides supplementing its salaries?
What can you tell me about the strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
Wait, what if I want to hear about trade secrets?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
Wouldn't want to disturb an octopus, better let it be.
I am glad you see it that way. To repeal the act would mean repealing the coalition government. The one that leases you the right to police West Revachol. But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
What is your role in this, precisely?
I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator.
Oh.
In practice, I'm a grocery clerk.
Oh.
I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
She's literally just a middle person. So, like, hear one person, speak. Hear one person, speak. Fair enough. It's not too dissimilar from many parts of my job, to be honest.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-metre-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Tell us more about this behemoth.
What can I say? The union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organisation now.
We need to talk about a racist giant. We'll come back to that. I guess we'll go and find out for ourselves. How are the talks going before the lynching?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
They should have overtime pay and a medical plan. What happened to this Gaumont?
Mr. Clare told him to... How did he put it?
She pauses to compose herself.
Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Okay then.
Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
So, what are their demands?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
Authority wants us to say over-aggressive commie posturing. Seems like they've got no idea about business.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board.
Most of them probably don't even know what that means.
Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
That's pretty funny, I have to admit.
They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution.
So what are you going to do?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position.
Yeah.
A hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery.
Makes sense.
But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
Good question, Kim.
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, Call Me Manana.
His name was Call Me Manana. Alright, we need to talk to Call Me Manana. Definitely talk to him.
This checks out.
Oh, I guess reaction speed's going to do a quick insight check. It seems like an easy one. Tell me about this union boss, Mr. Clare, the one who told the other guy to fuck off, midget.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Really?
Of course not.
Oh.
Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
I say nothing.
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
Wait, there are two of him?
Yes. Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over.
Right, so lazy eye, probably what they're referring to here is a strabismus, essentially an eye turn, so eye turning inwards or eye turning outwards. I can't simulate an eye turning outwards. That's what most people think of when they say a lazy eye. So only one of the brothers has a lazy eye. That checks out. They're actually not usually technically genetic, as in like an inherited genetic thing. They tend to be more of a spontaneous genetic problem or an injury-related problem.
It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
Okay, what about the union itself, though, outside the Brothers Clare?
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that.
And frankly, like, for the most part, unions are good. Like, there should be a group focused on protecting the workers, right? Because companies can't really be trusted to do that 100%. Not in a capitalist society. You can't really trust the employer to be looking out for the best interests of the employee. So unions on the whole they should be good.
Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
And this is the problem with anything. Individuals can fuck it up.
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate.
Yeah.
Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Yeah, see, that's obviously not what unions should be, but unfortunately it's what unions can become in certain circumstances.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is...
Oh boy. I prefer not to have an opinion on these things. No, that's not true. A giant leech sucking the life out of Revachol. If it's a crime syndicate, it's a huge problem. A union should only ever be advocating for the rights of its workers. As soon as it's not doing that, it's no longer a union. That's the entire point. It's the definition of it.
Indeed. And a hungry one. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the leech always hungers.
One more thing. You said something happened in the elections.
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the union. She disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
Eerie.
Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter.
Yeah.
The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help?
All right. We need to find out more about this lynching. She's clearly got some information. What can you tell me about the lynching?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid.
She falls silent for a moment, contemplating something.
The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Not good. Not good for us.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41.
Oh boy.
I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
Do you remember when I told you I literally cannot remember even the most basic facts about reality?
How can I forget?
One of those facts is where my badge is, and the other is my name.
I was hoping your condition was rhetorical, Detective. A questioning technique.
It's not.
I have sympathy for your highly unusual condition, sir. And I believe you. But as it stands, I cannot share any confidential information until I've seen both your badges.
On one hand, annoying. On the other hand, I kind of get it, and I respect her for actually standing true on this.
I understand the dictates of protocol, ma'am, but is there no way around it?
I'm afraid not, Lieutenant. These are my employer's orders.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
Oh, what kind of arrangement would it be?
I mean, favors for favors. A dirty alliance of some sort.
How do I negotiate my way out of this?
Easy. Just offer her a favor. Like I said, nice and dirty.
Surely there's some other way to demonstrate our law enforcement credentials?
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
Why do I get the feeling she planned this from the very beginning?
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Like what?
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
They're behind it.
They're profiting from this trade.
Yeah.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or you can recover your badge, though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Excuse us for a moment, madam.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
How did you hope it would go?
Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman.
Really? I thought it was going so well.
This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
It's funny. I really, really, really hate letting Kim down. I really want his approval. What do you propose, that we don't investigate drug trafficking?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union.
Shit.
Or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate. Briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.
I'm sorry for putting in this situation. I'll handle it.
I'm sure you will, Detective.
Let's get back to it then.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
All right. Tell me about the alleged drug trafficking.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samaran Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
Let me get this straight. The materials come from Samara to Revachol through the terminal.
Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut.
And you want us to investigate?
Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
What do you mean?
The lorries. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they
Right.
reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they are vulnerable.
Makes sense.
Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment. I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
You'll be indebted to her, in a way, but one step ahead of the Union in another.
Why didn't you come to the RCM earlier?
We did.
Oh.
On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers.
It's no coincidence the lorries are stranded there like that, is it?
No.
Ah.
We asked East Motor Track to raise the
she
drawbridge.
planned this.
The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand.
Okay, but what proof do you have that the Union is involved?
How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
Shit, that's such a good point.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves.
So you think the strike is being funded with source ingredients for drugs?
Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, but she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, I made up my mind about the smuggling investigation.
Yes?
Take the case, probe the drivers, see what it yields.
Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
She takes another sip from her seemingly bottomless thermal cup. Thank you, Joyce. That's all for now.
Of course, Detective. Take care.
Alrighty. We've learned a lot of information. We will be back next episode to investigate the crime scene, investigate the body, and start our investigations into the drug trade as well. So I'll see you guys in the next one.